Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Talk More Talk solo Beatles video cast, where we talk about John, Paul, George, and Ringo, a solo artist after the split of the Beatles, and sometimes the Beatles too, depending on what's coming out. Like I think we're going to be doing Let It Be stuff, hopefully,
Hopefully.
later on.
Mhm.
And of course, we got a good topic, and you know what that is: John Lennon, Plastic Ono Band, the deluxe set that came out, and there it is, as Tom is demonstrating for us. I can always count on Tom to have it there. So I already mentioned Tom. Well, first myself, Joe Mayo. You probably know me from my channel on YouTube, Mean Mr. Mayo, and I have a show called Fab Gab that I'm starting to do, and starting out with ranking some tracks in favorite order. So let's talk about that later on at the end of the show. Right now, I'll introduce my co-host to start out with. Of course, she's on a vacation and she's supposed to be relaxing. I don't see the guys with the leaves on the islands or the masseuse over there giving the
That's
queen, the attention she deserves.
yeah.
She's vacationing on the islands in the Caribbean.
Mhm.
What are they again, Kit?
The Turks and Caicos Islands.
The Turks and Caicos
Mm-hmm.
Islands. You can say Caribbean or Caribbean, whichever way you like to say it.
Whichever you prefer.
She's
Tomato, tomato.
Yeah.
let's call the whole thing off. No, let's not. Let's not do that. She has some books that you know, a couple of them by now. Songs we were singing, guided tours through the Beatles' lesser known tracks, and also Michael Jackson FAQ. But her latest book, and you have it, Tom, because I got it here.
I left that one for you.
Ah.
I can't do
The
all the
act
heavy
you-
lifting around here. Come on.
The act you've known for all these years, Fandom and the Beatles, edited by Kenneth Womack and Kid O'Toole. That's her new book that she has out there. Kid O'Toole, welcome, Kid.
Hello, everybody. Greetings from the islands. I'm sitting on the porch here. I'm looking out at the ocean, although I can't really see it. It's completely dark here, but it's about 75 degrees, and it's
Great.
really nice, really great. So hello, everybody.
Hey,
We all
Okay,
envy
now-
you.
Yes.
Yep.
And what are you drinking there?
well, normally it'd be a rum punch, but I've had a number of those so far while we're here. So have to be sharp for this.
Oh,
Have to be sharp for this
I-
show.
I was looking for something a little more tropical.
I
but
know,
okay.
but gotta be on my toes for this.
Maybe they have like mango Coke or something like
Yeah,
that.
really.
Something like that. Next up, he's the radio guru. Okay, I'm going to call him. For many decades now, he has been hosting his syndicated radio program, Every Little Thing. And of course, he has his Beatles podcast, Things We Said Today, and a fairly new YouTube channel, Ken Michaels Radio.
Correct.
And he's none other than Ken Michaels. Welcome, Ken.
Hey, Joe. Hey, everybody. Hey,
I like
fans.
that, the guru. I like that.
That's a new
I was
one.
trying to think
I
of
like
something
that.
different. The
That's
guru,
good.
radio,
I like
the
that
radio guru. And last but not least, as we said, I don't usually leave Tom last, but I'm trying to shake it up a little bit here. Tired of poor Ken always being the last one that I mentioned. uh, co-host along with Andy Nichols of the Paul McCartney video cast Two Legs. And he knows Macca front, backwards, and sideways.
Wow.
And here he is, Tom Hunyadi. Hello, Tom.
Hello, everybody. Everybody out there listening, and can't wait to talk about some John Lennon tonight. And Ken, Kit, and Joe, it's always good to see you guys.
Okay,
Absolutely.
be sure to leave your comments, folks, what you think of this new release that's out here. If you have it, if you heard it on on social media or something, we're going to get into it right after Ken Michaels treats us to some news. So Ken, let's go
Okay.
for it.
All right. Let's start with news about the Plastic Ono Band, which has re-entered the Billboard album charts at number 94. It is also the number 11 album on the official physical albums charts top 100 in the UK, which is compiled by the official charts company based on sales of CDs, downloads, vinyl, and weighted audio streams. I like the way they word that. And the Plastic Ono Band is number 2 on the UK's physical albums chart based on sales of vinyl, CD, and other formats. So I guess that's everything but digital. No showing so far for the McCartney 3 Imagine release, which at the moment is strictly being sold as a digital release. Its physical release on vinyl and CD comes in July.
I think that's when you'll probably see it on the charts, Ken.
Okay, but then all the real hardcore fans who really want to hear it, they had to
Right.
get it this way.
Yeah, true.
You would have thought it would have made a small dent.
Mm.
Anyway, a new video was made for the Elements mix of Hold On. Have you guys seen this?
Not
I
yet.
haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, well, it's a very simple idea. It's taking the front cover of the Plastic Ono Band album and having it look like John and Yoko are there up against a tree, as we've always seen it,
Mm.
and the tree's leaves move, and occasional light shines through, but John and Yoko stay still.
Hmm.
They
Oh.
never move. It's
Oh,
like you're looking at them from a distance,
oh,
you know,
that's nice.
over the course of the 2 minutes of the song.
So they're holding on. They're just
That's yes,
yeah.
that's exactly what they're doing.
Well, it's a beautiful song, a simple song, and should
Yeah.
be. Why not a simple video for
Yeah,
it?
absolutely.
Mm.
That's
It really
appropriate.
sounds like something Yoko would come up with as an idea,
Mm.
actually.
Yeah. Mhm.
2 weeks ago, Ringo Starr and Barbara Bach celebrated their 40th wedding anniversary, and on that day, a nice surprise came from a member of Ringo's Roundheads, Gary Burr, who went on his Facebook page congratulating Ringo and Barbara, and with his wife, Georgia Middleman, performed the song Imagine Me There, a great love song from Ringo's Ringo Rama album from 2003. Ringo wrote the song with Mark Hudson and Gary Burr. Very sweet of Gary to do this.
That's a highlight. That song. That's a highlight of his of those years for
Mhm.
Ringo. I think.
I think that's one of his best,
Mhm.
certainly. And there was plenty of real great ones from the Mark Hudson period.
Mm-hmm.
Ringo appeared on Stephen Colbert's show not last Friday, the week before that.
It's funny.
He was on his show a few weeks ago to announce and promote his new EP, Zoom In. What appeared on that Friday was from the same taping, but not aired in the first broadcast. For a laugh, Stephen had him do a questionnaire of 15 light, silly questions for Ringo. One of which, Stephen said, you get one song to listen to for the rest of your life. What is it? Ringo answered, Come Together. Okay.
It was pretty good. It was not bad. I liked the title, the Colbert Questionnaire. I thought it was
Actually,
pretty funny.
question nerd.
Yeah,
Question
thank
nerd.
you.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Yes, nerds.
Nerd.
Yes, but he did it with two other. I think of Jane Fonda and I forgot the other one. He did it.
There were a few. I binged them. There
Yeah.
was Tom
Mm.
Hanks. There was Meryl
Yeah.
Streep.
Yep.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Those are, I think those are the ones I watched.
It's
Yeah.
pretty funny. Yeah,
Yeah,
Ringo
that's
did good though.
It's good light entertainment, a
Yeah.
way to stretch an interview into 2 broadcasts.
Yeah.
Also, according to The Guardian, the Royal Mail has honored Paul McCartney with a set of 12 postage stamps. The main collection features images of 8 career-defining albums, solo and with wings. There's McCartney, Ram, Venus and Mars, McCartney 2, Tug of War, Flaming Pie, Egypt Station, and McCartney 3. A mini sheet of 4 additional stamps shows McCartney in the recording studio with photos selected from across 3 decades, recording McCartney in 1970, Ram in 1971, McCartney 2 in 1980, and Flaming Pie in 1997. The stamps go on sale on May 28th in a wide variety of formats, from a presentation pack to a prestige stamp book and framed images.
Yes.
McCartney is one of only 3 solo music artists to get his own dedicated stamp issue, following David Bowie in 2017 and Elton John in 2019. Queen were honored with their own stamps in 2020. You can now pre-order these stamps in its many different packages, some of which are listed as limited edition. At this website, go to shop.royalmail.com. I would strongly advise you to buy this now before Tom here hoards the rest of them.
Yeah, exactly.
I was gonna say you're on this, right, Tom?
Let's just say I did. I got a couple.
Pick
Did you
me
get
some up
any-
so I don't have to do it.
Yep.
I thought you'd be holding it up. You
Oh
probably got enough
well,
answer
they're
there.
not in them. Yeah, they're not here yet. As soon as I get them, I'll show them.
Okay. Paul McCartney's 12 Days of Paul campaign to promote the McCartney 3 Imagined no, the McCartney 3 album, has won a 2020 Clio Award. It was gilded the Silver Award in the out-of-home Billboard category. This campaign was done in partnership with Amazon Music and had fans visiting murals and billboards from 12 different cities around the globe over 12 days, December 4th through the 16th, that featured sheet music with songs from McCartney 3. And local artists submitted covers for each song from the album. You can now pre-order the McCartney 3 Imagine CD with merchandise on the Paul McCartney store.
What a
He has
shock.
box sets. Like you said, Tom is on this right now.
Yeah, he's
no,
on it.
I'm passing
can
on
have
this
it.
one. I'm passing.
We don't believe him. He has box sets paired with merchandise from t-shirts to Polaroids to notebooks to your very own set of dice. And all physical copies of the album will include a bonus track from Idris Elba. And Dominic Fike was on James Corden's Late Late Show last Monday night to perform The Kiss of Venus from the McCartney 3 Imagine album. It's actually a different version than the one that's on the album. Sounded pretty good. And we note the passing of music legend Al Schmidt.
Oh, yeah.
Al had a long career as an engineer and producer. He won 23 Grammy Awards.
Is that crazy?
Wow.
Worked on, yeah. Over 130 gold records. He was engineer for Kisses on the Bottom. And Paul had this to say online. So sad to hear of the passing of my friend Al Schmidt. Al was the lead engineer in charge of the Kisses on the Bottom session and was a fantastic guy besides being one of the world's great engineers. He always had a twinkle in his eye and was ready for a laugh, but most importantly, when he had done what we thought was a good take and went into the control room to hear the playback, it sounded fantastic. His self-effacing skills always came through. I send my love to his family and will always remember him with great fondness. Thanks for everything, Al. Lots of love, Paul. And Lawrence Juber also had him engineer his recent CD of Beatle music.
Yep.
A true legend there. And also we mourn the passing of pop and R&B star Lloyd Price,
Yeah.
who was
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
just happened a few days ago. He's best known for his hits in the 50s like Stagger Lee, Personality, and I'm Gonna Get Married. The Beatles covered Lloyd's songs in their solo career, John with Just Because on his rock and roll album, and Paul with Lottie Miss Claudie on his Russian album. Both those songs were written by Lloyd Price. Okay, for 1 week in August, you can go on a tour of Abbey Road Studios. From August 9th through the 15th, they'll be doing something called Open House, opening their doors to celebrate their 90th anniversary with a carefully curated journey through the studio's history. And you'll be able to explore the 3 recording studios made famous by artists like the Beatles, Pink Floyd, Oasis, and others. Visitors will be able to access the control rooms and the famous Studio 2 echo chamber, all with a rich history dating back to 1931. Ticket holders will be able to explore the studio's legacy of innovation, from the patenting of stereo to the invention of numerous recording techniques still used across the globe today. And the open house will also cover the studio's rich history of film scoring and demonstrate how the studios have been used to record music from some of the biggest movies ever made, including Raiders of the Lost Ark and The Lord of the Rings and Hobbit trilogies, and many of the Harry Potter films. For more information, you can visit Abbey Road, spell road, R-O-A-D, abbeyroad.com, and click on the news tab. Finally, recently you heard me talk about a new book, Mock Show in Hamburg. Go get the book, Tom. He's always ready. I'm
Yeah,
so impressed with this guy.
I've got to pick this book up.
I mean, I just got it in the mail Saturday. They just started shipping them last week. I'm surprised I got it before a lot of other people did. But I mean, if you're a fan of AppCore and the A's for Apple books, this will blow your mind.
That is quite a thick book, it looks like.
Yeah, wow.
The amount of research and work that these people do on their books is Lewison-esque, if you will, and just yeah, amazing stuff.
Okay, Well, it's described as the definitive book on the
Yes.
Beatles and their time in Hamburg.
Yep.
A limited run of 500 copies has now sold out, and I did
Yep.
hear from the author,
I
Thorsten
think-
Knobloch,
Yeah.
that the publisher has decided to reprint the book, which will
Yep.
be available in about 3 weeks.
Yep.
Okay, great. You
And-
can still get a copy. All right.
Yes, you can. You can get a second print. Yeah, they're doing a second printing, like Ken said. So
Excellent.
Hopefully they're easily available.
yeah, and
Uh,
hopefully we're gonna have Thorsten on 2 legs in a month or a month and a half or so.
Nice.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all the news I got.
No, thank you.
All right.
All right, so I guess we're ready to go to our main topic, which is John Lennon, Plastic Ono Band, the brand new, what do they call it? Ultimate mixes,
Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah.
called the
Yep.
deluxe set in particular, which has 6 CDs in the box and 2 Blu-rays. And I have to say, it's a little bit of a plug too. On my channel on YouTube, Me and Mr. Bayo, I already did a video. It's like 47 minutes. If you have no life, you can watch it. And it's more thorough. I went through it. So I'm kind of like, I got a good reason for taking the easy way out here, where I don't have to like talk too much about it tonight. I'm going to moderate this. Maybe you three could give opinions, but of course, I know I'm not going to shut up. I'm going to have a lot to say still about it. And well, this album came out in December of 1970. John and Yoko had gone through Arthur Janov's primal scream therapy, and Lennon exploded with all his formerly pent up pain and emotions through this album, and my first listen I was when I was like 15 years old. That wasn't upon release, that was later. But I've always said, when I talk about this, for me, it's probably the number one most intense experience, emotional experience I've ever had, listening to any album, listening to it at night in the dark when my eyes were still good, and I was able to read the lyric sheet along with this, and I was like so affected by this because it was so guttural, candid, from the heart and soul. It stands out as a real highlight in my music life. So I thought that I would start out by asking all of you, what are your general feelings on the album itself first, before we get into to the new version of it here, the release. Let's start with Ken. Ken, what's your general feelings on this particular album?
I think it's a masterpiece, without a doubt. I think that it took a lot of guts for John to do what he did by speaking his mind and bearing his soul to the world and telling him his problems. It's a psychological study in some ways of John Lennon's life and his childhood. And it took a lot for him to do that. And not only saying it in song, but in the way that it was recorded, as bare a recording as you can possibly get, with just a bass player, a guitarist, and drums, although half the album has piano. But I mean, it's from the less is more school, where, with less instrumentation, then the songs they have even more of a message and more powerful and can resonate with you more. When this album first came out, I was just a kid at the time. I couldn't possibly absorb all this. And it's always been kind of a tough listen to me. It's so much easier to listen to Imagine or Mind Games or Walls and Bridges than Plastic Ono Band. But I've certainly recognized, in recent years, I shouldn't say recent, for decades now, what a brilliant album this really is. And I just applaud John for having the guts to put out something like this, so highly personal and intense.
Yeah, I would agree with you that it's his masterpiece, probably, arguably. I think he's probably the best vocally he ever was. He's always had a great voice, but I think he's really in top form here. Ringo's drumming is some of his best. You got Klaus Vormann on bass. It's really, really a nice little trio there, with, of course, help on piano and stuff. And I think Billy Preston helps out, stuff like that. Yeah. Like you said, less is more. But something I wanted to touch on while I think of it is, for me also, is the idea that when I was a teenager, I had more, I call it angst. I had my time where, well, this is bothering me, that's bothering me. I don't understand this, maybe people don't understand me, and I can relate more. These days, I have to be in a certain mood to put this album on, and the mood doesn't come very often anymore, which I'm kind of glad in that way. But when I just say, okay, let's hear it again, and just put myself in the mode, I'm really rewarded every time.
Yeah.
Okay, Kit, how about you? What are your feelings on the album?
Well, yeah, I mean, like you were both saying that, yeah, I mean, it's a tough listen. And when I first heard it, when I was first getting into the Beatles and then started getting into the solo Beatles, yeah, I mean, it was pretty overwhelming. But as I've gotten, I think all of us kind of are saying the same thing, as we've gotten older and wiser, and had more life experience, quite frankly. It just, you gain more and more appreciation for it. I mean, this is a man who is, grappling with these inner demons that have clearly been plaguing him for a long time, but he's also presenting himself as, a kind of a new artist. I mean, this is him, saying, okay, I'm no longer a Beatle. And, this is me as John, and I mean, God being the obvious example of that, but even some other songs, he's saying, this is the real me. And I mean, this is as far as you can get from Sergeant Pepper, right, or Revolver. I mean, this is as stripped down as it gets. And so I think, and we'll talk about this in a minute, but I think this box set shows, this was a very personal statement, not only in terms of the subject matter, of discussing his mother and his father and his insecurities, but also introducing, to the world that this is me, this is the new me, this is, John Lennon phase 2, and you could tell, like, this was important to him. And he worked extremely hard on this, and you could tell that this was something that, that he wanted to say. This is the way he wanted to present himself for this new phase in his life. And so this was such a brave album on so many levels. And I just, over the years have gained more and more appreciation for it. As you said, not an easy listen, no. But it's, I mean, such a brave statement to make, and particularly, for that time. I can't think of other artists from that period that put out anything like that. I mean, it was just, as I said, brave on so many levels.
And that's so well said. Very well said. Tom?
Well, spending, 86, 87 and most of 88 listening to nothing but mainly Beatles, just really, listening and learning, about the Beatles, and then going to see that Imagine John Lennon movie and hearing the songs that, they played from this album. It was almost like a punch to the gut, really. It was just really a moment, excuse me, when okay, yeah, there's no more She Loves You, there's no more I Want to Hold Your Hand, there's no more of this. This is John Lennon, and this is his life, and he's, we're getting his pain, and yeah, you guys are right. I mean, this is his masterpiece. I mean, this is about as perfect as a record as you can get. I mean, the only reason why I don't consider it like a perfect record, because of the repeat listens. I mean, it's something that, it's just, but that's just me, what I mean? It's just, like Joe said, when I'm younger, I mean, I was listening to this album all the time. Now I just don't relate to it like I used to. I mean, I'm in a much happier place than I'm sure John was at that point in time in his life, and I'm sure this album helped a lot of people. A lot of people had that same parent situation as John did. You know what I mean? A lot of people, had a lot of those feelings that he had. And I'm sure this album helped them out a lot, but I still listen to this album, bits of, songs here and there. I mean, it's always it's always in my mind. It's always around. It's always, a song from the album is always playing, but yeah, it's just it's just definitely not one of those albums where you're just gonna, you grab, if you're going for a road trip, it's definitely not one of the road trip albums,
Let's crank this in the car.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I just remember being blown away by his vocals, and I just wish we had more of that, throughout his solo career. But they were just so powerful. And these box sets that have been coming out have just highlighted those vocals so well. It just makes you appreciate his vocals even more.
Yeah, wouldn't you love to hear more wells and mothers and?
Well, we got that with the box set for sure.
That's right. We heard a lot of that.
Oh yeah, there's other songs. Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
And as much as we enjoyed this, right? You can get overdosed listening to all these discs, especially when you're preparing for a show to talk about it. So you really try to drink it all in.
It's a lot to digest.
Yes, it is.
We complain about in the past about these box sets, about these CDs not being, full, and here we're getting full. I mean, I truly believe that this is one of the best bang for your bucks box sets that we've got from any of the camps.
Yeah.
Solo or
Yeah,
Beatles. So.
Yep.
Well, my next question, I was going to start with you, Tom, and there's a reason, because I want to hear you say something that I think you're going to say that I'll concur with, and that's thoughts on the overall presentation of this, the packaging.
Well, I mean, yeah, the packaging,
what's the first thing you think?
Uniformity.
Yeah.
It fits nicely to the other two box sets, and obviously we're going to hope that they continue with that format of looking pretty, all nice and together, lined up. But yeah, I mean, the packaging well put together. It's not flimsy in any way. The book is bound beautifully.
Gorgeous.
The pages are beautiful. I mean, they really did not skimp on this packaging at all. So, bravo to the team that put this together. I mean, it'll be so cool to maybe have somebody that's responsible or manages the team that puts these packages together, and just kind of like get an idea of the work that's put into it, because it's good work.
I get that the music obviously is the main thing.
Right.
But like the Beatles sets, as good as they would have been, well, they were all over the place, size and style and everything. Ken and Kid, I don't know if you have anything to add about packaging wise. What can you add?
Well, not too much, because as you can probably tell from looking behind me, I don't have too much shelf space here. So, the size of the box set may not matter as much to me, because it's stacked on top of everything else right now in this room. But I would just like to say that, and Alan Kozin and things we said today said the same thing. Really, the job that Yoko has done, and Sean and the team, is better. It's better than the Beatle box sets, I think. It's even better than most of the McCartney box sets too.
I'll agree.
I think so.
Get so much more for the money. You got 8 discs here, and the list price was $134.95. I got it for $125. That's certainly worth it. Especially compared to the price of the McCartney ones and what you're getting on those. And I love those too. Don't get me wrong. But what I have to say has more to do with the music, which is always,
right.
But the packaging is fine here. And I love the book.
Yep, exactly. I mean, I knew, this is just as good as the Imagine box set. And I knew if this was going to be anything like the Imagine box set, and it is, they absolutely do just a first-class job on the design, and wow, I mean, the book, talk about completeness. I mean, it's just so thorough. And I just, and I didn't have time before I left to go through it thoroughly, but I skimmed through it before I left, and wow.
Illustrations by Klaus Vormann are
fantastic.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Yes, fantastic. Yes.
Yeah,
they really
but
are.
Actually, the book that's in the box set is similar to the coffee table one. The coffee table has a lot more, but a lot of the backstories on the songs, it's kind of condensed. You don't have
Yes.
exactly everything that's in the big
Mhm.
book,
Yeah.
but there are some things in the book from the box set that you don't have
Mm,
in the coffee table one,
Right.
which I think makes it, worth your while,
right.
like remembrances from the engineers on
Mm,
some of
Yep.
the recordings there, for
Mhm.
example. And there's one particular illustration from Klaus that's not in the coffee table one. I got to remember
okay.
what that was, but
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Interesting. I would say
Well,
the only thing that I wish that there was something of is some excuse me, with some video content. There wasn't
Mm.
any,
Yeah, good
because
point.
like with the Imagine box, you had the box set, you had the book separately, and then you had a Blu-ray, DVD, of the Imagine, making of the Imagine album and
that's
whatnot.
a
It would
good
have
Mm.
been
point. I never
cool.
gave that a
Yeah.
thought.
Yeah,
Would have
That's
been
you're
cool
right.
if we had something like that as well to go with this set.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't
that's a
know.
good
Maybe there
point.
Excellent point.
wasn't. Maybe there wasn't footage taken during the recording sessions.
Well,
I
I
don't
mean, they
know.
didn't. They did make some movies, at
It
that
seems
point in
like they
time,
have
didn't they?
movies of everything.
Well, there's,
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I
you
don't
know,
know, but good
all
point.
the John and Yoko films that
Yeah.
were short in terms of length,
Right.
Mhm.
their avant-garde stuff that they all
True.
saved,
Mhm.
Yeah, that's one thing about Yoko. She's a great archivist,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she saves everything that she possibly can, and it
Mhm.
shows in the releases that have
Yep.
come out. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Good point.
If we're going to talk about the main album, the new version, if you want to call it remix, or I always got to be careful, remaster, remix, um, I, I'm not the biggest audiophile. I don't know if we're going to get the terms right, but I went into this thinking to myself, kind of like I did with Abbey Road, in the sense that I thought, Abbey Road sounded like it's really good as is, didn't need a lot of work. And I kind of felt the same with this. I thought, John, this sounds like this is a good sounding album. Always has been, for the most part. Whereas you could argue stuff like the rock and roll album needed a little boosting, maybe, of his vocals,
Yeah.
which did get that. Maybe Mind Games, which did get that at the early 2000s, sometime in New York City, etc. Arguably, I'll say, because I know Ken's thinking that sounds fine to me. Probably,
yeah, I always like the original mixes on all those albums, really.
yeah, because I think we've talked about that in a past show. That's why I'm saying it.
Mm.
But I said, well, let's see. I was so happy with what Paul Hicks was able to do with the Imagine album, and yeah. So talking about the regular album itself, um, what do you folks think? We're going to go around again. I guess we'll start with Kit this time. What do you think?
Yeah, as I listened to it, really the new mixes didn't particularly stand out for me. I mean, there wasn't a particular song that I thought, wow, that really was so improved, by this new
Yeah.
mix. Because as you said, Joe, I mean, the original mixes actually sounded pretty good to me. I will say this though, that I thought Klaus Vormann's bass was brought out a lot more in many of the mixes. I'm trying to remember if it was Hold On or well. It was one of those that was really brought out, and boy, did I gain more appreciation for Klaus's playing after listening to these mixes and on various songs on the other discs. That boy, he was a much better player than I really I gave him credit for. I mean,
And the drumming too stood out more to me on a lot of these. I think, like, on Remember, the drumming, and I Found Out, the instruments. Certain struck me, certain tunes.
Absolutely. I mean, Ringo's drumming on here, I think, was some of his best. I mean, he was just on point with this, and some, not only just in terms of technically, but he just really knew how to accent drama, when he needed to. I mean, on tracks like God and so forth. I mean, he just knew how to do that. And I was so impressed with that. I mean, I knew that, but maybe there were some subtle things in the remixing that brought that out a bit more. But I think that was it. that it was very subtle, like, I mean, this is a Beatles remix, but, like when the Sgt. Pepper remixes came out, those really, I was just like, wow, those are incredible. This wasn't the remixes on this were not, just did not have that impact on me. I mean, I just didn't listen to them and think they were just maybe little differences. But I would say, yeah, maybe Ringo's drumming and but definitely Klaus's bass really stood out for me.
I forget now what it was that Paul Hicks talked about at the team, saying Yoko had given instructions. Maybe somebody remembers. One of them was to make sure John's voice is brought out.
Yeah,
that's one of them. Don't really compromise, I think, the originals too much, which I like.
I think that's, you can probably assume that that's the whole point of this series.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially
and
Give Me Some Truth.
Yeah.
Oh, Give Me Some Truth. That was insane, because I know there were other tracks too, not just from Plastic Ono Band, obviously. Where you got to hear stuff like Angela sounding a different, more prominent vocals. John's voice coming out. It's funny how it's clearer so much on so many of these tracks. I would say, though, I might be in a minority here. Like a song like God, when his voice is so in your face. And it's funny because I haven't been able to find the right words. When you listen to the original version as it was released, he doesn't sound quite there in your face. It's a little bit more dreamy or something, in a way, in the air or something. And I kind of missed that a little bit. So as much as I like what's been done here, 99% of the time on most of the tracks, there are moments like that where I guess you're listening to something for however many years, 50 years, 40 years, 30 years, whatever your age is. And all of a sudden, that's what you're used to, so it's changed when that happens,
Yeah.
So, what do you think, Tom? It's the album itself.
Right, these new remixes. Yeah, kid, I was a little bit like you. I was a little, underwhelmed a little bit after. And I'll tell you what, because, we really talked about the song Isolation from the Give Me Some Truth, especially when he, I Don't Expect You, that whole part of the song. And I was really expecting something like that here, because I think, if I remember correctly, these are completely different mixes from what was on the Give Me Some Truth. And so that particular song was like, oh my God, what are they going to do? How are they going to blow me away with that certain part? And I just felt like just a little overwhelmed and kind of wishing that they would have saved that mix from Give Me Some Truth and put it on this, on this set. You know what I mean? And because that, man, it was just such a mind-blowing experience listening to that part of the song, especially with headphones on. But the other thing that I noticed too was on the song Love, though it is roughly a second or two, right around the same length as the original version is, I noticed that here in the 2000 mix, it's about 7-8 minutes before you actually start hearing seconds before you actually start hearing the piano. But with this one, you start hearing it within the first 2 seconds. So they just start bringing that piano bit up, a lot quicker on this mix than they did with this one. So I'm kind of getting used to that part, because I kind of like that slow intro to that song. I think it works very well with the song Love. But other than that, and then, I never really noticed the second cookie in Hold On.
It's
very clear now. I knew he was mumbling something.
Right.
He heard something, but I didn't know it was that.
So it's really cool to hear that second cookie.
So and a darn good impression too.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, am I going to listen to it any more than this 2000 edition? Maybe not, probably not. But I thought it was fine. I mean, I didn't hate it. That's for sure.
But you see, I don't know what to call it, because I'm not a musician.
It's a remix.
No, not that. No, the remix. Yeah, I should have realized that. It says Ultimate Remix mixes. But no, the Hold On
Hmm.
It's just one of my favorite. That's maybe my favorite song. It's one of my very favorite songs. Simple as it is.
Right.
But the intro has the short intro, the way it first was really issued. There's one of these where it's slightly longer. I don't
Right.
know. That's what I'm not being not technically. It's a couple of more notes on the guitar or something. You
Mhm.
know, I like this. Just reverts back to the original way. I like that better. I like the shorter original intro, not a little longer. I don't like that as much. But I wanted to ask about Love when you mentioned the beginning, the intro. I haven't revisited Give Me Some Truth in a while. Did they not use on that one? Did they not use the special radio single version where
I
you
think
have
they,
it
yeah,
loud?
the piano bit came in a lot sooner on the Give Me Some Truth as well.
But there's
That's
one.
what
I
you're.
mean, it's
But the
loud.
single itself that came out was at full volume, the
Yeah,
piano
full
version.
volume.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't fade up. And
Right,
I
right.
forget if it was that version with the full volume intro
Mhm.
was used on Give Me Some Truth. I can't recall right now.
Yeah, I didn't
Maybe
go back
somebody in the
to.
comments.
Yeah, I didn't revisit that part. I revisited the hold on. I mean, sorry, the isolation, just to make sure that that I was right in my hearings about that one part of the song.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm.
All righty. So we have Ken, right? Yes,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Ken.
Yeah.
It's funny, Tom, you brought that up about Cookie because
Right.
I did the same thing in the Things We Said Today
Right.
podcast. But
Yeah.
kind of like you guys, I was underwhelmed by the album itself.
Yeah.
But I will say that I never heard Mother with such clarity.
Mm.
That's one that really stood out for me. And I have to admit, and I say this quite often, that whenever these box sets come out, I always go right to the unreleased stuff first. The last
Mhm.
thing I listen to is the actual album. So I've
Yeah.
only listened to it once, really, because I'm more interested in everything else. But
Right.
I didn't hear that drastic an improvement
Mhm.
with all the other songs. And I don't have that much of a technical mind. I know there's a lot of advancement you can do to these recordings. To me, a remix is when you're changing the balance of the instrumentation.
Mm.
Bringing some
Um,
things up, down, forward, back.
yeah,
Okay.
but you can still have the same balance, but have it more clear.
Mhm.
And to me, I think that's what they're doing with this.
Mhm.
You know, yeah, it's true. The John's vocals are pushed up a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess it's a remix in that regard. But I don't hear it as something really drastic on the album
No.
itself.
No.
Which is
Mm-mm.
Yoko's instructions, really.
Yeah,
Mhm.
She doesn't want it on these, which is a good thing for the most part.
yeah.
They're being followed.
Mhm.
Hmm,
Those
okay.
instructions.
Yeah.
Now, Ken, you were talking about how you go to the bonus stuff first. I tend to do that myself. So with all the extra discs we have, 6 CDs, but one of them is the album itself. The extra CDs, the bonus CDs. Do you have any standout tracks or discs maybe you liked on their entirety?
Well,
Special.
in their entirety, not necessarily. I really love the demos a lot.
Mm.
Yes.
I loved hearing Isolation on piano and nothing else.
Mhm.
And it's such a strong song by itself with just a piano without a band. I liked throughout the many discs all the different approaches that were done with Isolation. There's one particular
Yeah.
one where the piano's taken out, but you have an organ track that's played. And so you hear
Yes.
the song
Mhm.
differently. It's very powerful that way. Um, you know, but the demos in general, I really like a lot. To hear certain songs on guitar where you're used to hearing them on piano,
Yep.
like Mother, for example, and God. And actually, when John first started writing these songs, he wrote them on guitar and
Mm-hmm.
eventually changed over to piano. And what a difference! I mean, when I think of God, I think of the piano. When I think of
Mhm.
Mother, I think of the piano. But
Mm.
it's nice to hear these other versions, even if you don't think they're as strong as the piano versions. It's just nice to see the evolution like that.
Yes.
And the demo of Mother is strong on guitar. Um, that's certain things like that. If I had to pick, you know, the biggest highlights for me, uh, definitely the evolution. The evolution disc is very fascinating Unfortunately, I think as a radio person that it would be very hard to program this stuff on the radio because you got to have a lot of patience to go through all the different takes of certain songs. But what was done with Instant Karma was probably one of my favorite moments because you do hear George Harrison in the very beginning
Right.
because he was there on the session. We always saw his name listed in the musician's credits. You'd never really know it because there's nothing on there in the finished version of Instant Karma where you say, oh, that's George. There's no slide guitar, there's no lead guitar solo, but you hear this lead guitar part that he was working out early on that eventually wasn't used at all. And you do hear a little bit of studio conversation between George and John. And it's just nice to know that, he was there.
Yeah.
And likewise, there's a moment in the evolution of Remember where George Harrison shows up because he was there at John's home on John's birthday. And
they cut
John, and all you really hear is John saying, George. And then you hear George say a few words and you can't fully make out what George is saying. You wish there was more than that. But it's just nice to know that that's in there. There's a lot of stuff. I mean, the first take of Cold Turkey is really interesting for me because the lead guitar line that you're so used to hearing is something different. It's not the same thing. What Eric Clapton was playing there was a different riff altogether. And there isn't that big buildup in sound like on the record. Of course, it's the first take. You don't expect it with that. But those are a few of them. But for me, I really love the demos a lot. It's kind of scattered between all the other discs. There's some things I love about the jams. I don't love all of them, but there are some of them I love a lot. But
I was disappointed in the jams. I mean, on a whole, there's moments. So that's cool. That's cool. A lot of it I'd heard already. The jam stuff, Lost Lennon tapes, things like that. I'll say, but it's funny. I was thinking how this is the John Lennon Plastic Ono Band album, and I think what I was most thrilled by were the singles, the three singles: "Give Peace a Chance," "Cold Turkey," and "Instant Karma." Impressed me the most. You mentioned "Cold Turkey" Take One. I think that's a real gem. It's my favorite on the set. I think out of everything that I heard, that's my favorite thing on there. Maybe, the added guitar parts, trying to find the best approach to it, and echoing the phrases. I love outtakes. I love different versions, early versions. That's like really gets me going, And although I've said many times, I'm not really a big fan of the single of "Give Peace a Chance." It's kind of monotonous to me. But I loved everything I heard of "Give Peace a Chance" on this. Take Two, recorded at the Queen Elizabeth Hotel, Montreal. It's sounds more spontaneous and fun. John shouting encouragements on there. Why don't you try it? Don't get tired. Wake up in the back there. He says they won't ban this one.
Right.
He's like saying all this stuff. And you hear like Yoko singing along too. I'd rather hear that version, than the single. So I was really having a good time with those. I got to say, and then of course the Instant Karma stuff. Take Five. I'm looking at here. I wrote down. I love that stuff, and the singles really got me the most excited. So that's my 2.5 cents on that. Okay, Kit. So how about you? Standout tracks?
Well,
maybe a favorite disc?
Well, first of all, I mean, as Ken said, I love demos, and I love hearing how different songs developed, and so I'm not going to repeat everything Ken said about the demos, but the Isolation demo almost brought me to tears. I mean, it was just beautiful, and that's maybe my favorite song on the album, and it's just and it also struck me how fully formed almost the songs were from the demos. I mean, there really wasn't much of a change in lyrics or anything. I was really amazed at how fully formed these songs were. Not that much change. You mentioned Cold Turkey. That was a fascinating song to follow throughout these discs because, as you said, the way they changed and how they used, in one of the takes, I'm trying to remember which one it was, John's voice was almost buried, and they used the guitars to replicate the feeling of withdrawal more than his voice, which I thought was fascinating.
Right.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember which one it was.
I think that was disc 3, because you get a little bit more of that feedback in the background.
Yeah.
Throughout the song.
Yeah, and you didn't hear him screaming and all as much. And I thought that was interesting to have, the guitars do more of the work of that. And obviously they decided against that idea. So I just thought that was, fascinating. And then one of the other takes, you could hear John, with more of like kind of a tremble in his voice, like really harder tremble. And, I just, it was really, just fascinating to hear how, he worked so hard to really replicate the feeling of withdrawal. To make you experience that by just hearing it. And by the way, that was not a song I liked when I first heard it at all. Because I was much younger, didn't understand what the hell he was doing. And I get it now. And really, this set demonstrates just how hard he worked at that, creating that effect. I like some of the Elements mixes as well. I liked, because I like Isolation, not the song, but that too. But I like hearing isolated parts as well.
Yes.
The Mother isolated vocal. Wow. That is such an incredible song to begin with. And by the way, that was another thing, hearing different takes of Mother, how he could do that many takes of that song.
I'd have to imagine that many of them were not full, complete takes.
Yeah.
There had to have been a lot of breakdowns.
There must have been.
Nobody's voice can withstand that.
Really.
And 60, 70 takes.
And not just his voice, but just emotionally. That is just, I don't know how he did it.
He was committed.
Clearly, my God. And but the isolated vocal on Mother, just shows you what an incredible singer he was. And I'm not just talking about the primal screaming and that, but just in terms of conveying emotion. You feel, you hear that pain in his voice, and it's such and the confessional tone of it. You feel like you're overhearing his counseling session. He's letting you in on that just by his voice. What an incredible talent that is. I found out I like that Elements mix, just John's voice. And then the percussion bass, and his fuzz electric guitar isn't as prominent in parts, and then they go into that blues jam toward the end, a really furious blues jam. Love that.
Yes.
That's very cool. Isolation again. I like that in this version you hear there's less effect on his voice, and you just hear not so much reverb, and also it's just him on organ, Klaus on bass, Ringo on drums, no piano.
Right.
Wow. Just only double tracking on the I don't expect you to understand part, right. And just stripped down. And Remember, which I have to admit that's not my favorite song on the album, but I did like the Elements mix where it was just drums, bass, and John's voice. Right. Because sometimes the piano, that kind of repetitive piano line, I don't know, it's a little distracting to me. And so this version, I could really pay attention a bit more to his voice and the lyrics. So I kind of liked that. And then they just, I like how then the breakdown, they just jam for a while. And boy, Ringo just keeps on going. He never misses a beat.
Energizer Bunny, huh?
He is. Yeah, good point. Yeah, he is. He really is. He really is. Oh, and Look at Me. That's another one of my favorites. John without double tracking, or his double tracking his voice.
One of these versions, he talks about picking like the song Julia, doesn't he? Like he talks about
Yes.
finger picking it.
The
How it's
finger
hard
picking.
to do.
Thank you
Right.
for bringing that up, because that was one thing. Yeah, I love that he talks about it, and he then says, and I think he asks Yoko, which, by the way, that's another interesting thing on here. You notice how much he asks for Yoko's view on things.
That's right.
He really values her opinion, and he'll say, is this too loud? Is this, and that's one of the times that he said, is this too much? And, maybe I should just do chords. And then he talks about, maybe I should do that picking style like Julia. And that's when you really, and then you really hear it. When
and
you
there's
hear
nothing
what
wrong with that. I mean, your partner, your significant other,
it's great.
people get
I
down
love
on
it.
that just because it's Yoko. People get down on it, but that she was invaluable to him, and
It wasn't
he trusted her.
masculine. It wasn't masculine back then to ask your partner for advice or
Yeah.
anything. You know what I mean?
And probably John would be the first one once upon a time to say that, right?
Exactly. But I thought that was wonderful.
Kid, I wanted to say something you said about the lyrics. Seem to be kind of the same. They were they kind of figured out the way they were going to be and kind of stayed. There was now I haven't heard this since March because I got it early, but I'm thinking there was one time I thought I remember hearing Isolation, and there were moments where he was singing, I don't expect you to understand after I've caused so much pain. I'm just a human, a victim of the insane.
There were some slight changes in some of the lyrics.
But I thought that was interesting because what a difference, it's a difference between saying, in the finished version, you're just a human, a victim of the insane. You've caused so much pain.
As opposed to
but originally he was singing, I have.
Yep.
That's
a good
big
point.
change.
Yeah, that is a change. And so there were some times where he added, or he made some changes in points of view. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, there were some changes like that, but for the most part, I was surprised that there were some changes like that, but not a lot.
No, you're right. There weren't. That just gave me an opportunity to remember that.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
It's interesting in the evolution mix you were talking about of Look at Me. John actually says words to the effect that I haven't played like that, the finger picking, for several months. I'm going to have to, practice that or learn it again.
Yeah. I love it. I love that when he does that.
That was a great moment.
And my favorite disc, I love the Evolution disc. I think the best.
Yes,
that's the one I said in my review on my channel. I think that's the one I would, if I was going to go back to a disc that wasn't the actual album, I'd probably play the Evolution disc the most, I think. Well, Tom, I don't want to leave you out. We said a lot of stuff already, but what are your thoughts on your, standouts, favorites?
I mean, like I said, there's a lot to digest here, and it's almost, you almost need a month really to spend with this set to really take it all in. And, I was really happy with the, once you got into like disc, 2, 3, and so on and so on. But there's just like little things here and there that I really liked. Like, okay, from disc 2, Mother, take 61. They're still working on the piano bits. It's still not, where the finished product is. There's a really cool on Hold On, take 2, Lennon is kind of like talking and singing, the verses and the chorus, and Ringo's drumming is a little different. He's not using the cymbals as much. He's using, he's doing other parts of the drum. Love, take 6, doing the acoustic guitar like you said, Ken. I think that was really interesting, hearing it that way, after hearing it for so long on piano. And take 1 on Cold Turkey on disc 2, that was really cool. And I think that's where they did a lot of the I said disc 3, but that's I'll talk about that in a second. But when they do a lot of the feedback, I think that was on disc 2. But where you guys said the Elements, not the Evolution. I love the Evolution too, but the Elements I think was probably my favorite disc of that, because for one, the Mother isolated vocals. This is where the McCartney camp is falling so far behind in these box sets for me. I don't understand why he's not taking advantage of these types of bonus tracks. McCartney is one of the greatest vocalists of all time. There's so many songs of his that I would just love to get an isolated vocal track. Like Maybe I'm Amazed, one of them. There's so many different ones, but go ahead.
I agree.
Ken.
Yeah, he's done this on his website.
Right.
On his
Yeah.
website, he'll give you,
Right.
maybe I'm amazed, he'll give you Monkberry Moon Delight.
Delight. Right.
And you
Put
can
it on the
just hear
disc.
the vocals. Yeah.
Right. Put it on the damn
Excellent.
disc.
Excellent.
Yep.
Excellent.
You know,
point. Yeah.
so I found out, with the Ringo on the congas, I thought that was really good. And then,
Oh yeah.
and then
Yes.
he's, improvising words towards the end. Kit, you mentioned the organ on Isolation. I really love that.
Gorgeous.
The 8.5 minutes of Remember. I mean, it was just, I was hooked on that for the whole 8.5 minutes, right off the bat with the Jews harp. I mean, I was just like, oh my God, I don't think I've ever heard that in the song before.
Yeah.
And then you're hearing it, light as day, and then just, the bass and the drum. I mean, Ringo is phenomenal on this album. And if you haven't listened to Yoko's Plastic Ono Band, if you do, just listen to it for Ringo's drumming, if anything.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh. Listen to John's guitar
Well,
playing.
I mean, exactly. But there's other reasons to listen to it. But I mean, if you want any evidence that Ringo was one of the greatest drummers of all time, these two albums will point that out.
The thing about Yoko, can I just say, when
please.
you're doing a song really long, like Why?
Yeah.
And it's a constant jam, and it's going on for 8 minutes or whatever it is.
Mhm.
Ringo is steady throughout.
Bam.
He doesn't get tired.
No.
He's incredible. He's just flawless.
Yes.
Flawless.
And I'll get to that part in a second from the Blu-ray.
Okay.
And then John on maracas for Well, Well, Well. The Cold Turkey with no vocals. Again, that's one of the things that I would love to hear from the McCartney camp.
Yep.
Something, some isolated instrumental, which I'm trying to remember if he has done that or not. Maybe he hasn't. But he could do better job with that kind of stuff.
I agree.
On his box sets, no.
Yeah,
No
on his box,
isolated vocals.
right. So these discs, you got 59 minutes, you got 73 minutes, you got 71 minutes. They're giving you near full CDs worth of music, which I really appreciate on these box sets. Disc 6, it was really cool just listening to hear him do a little bit of Get Back, and finger picking. I've Got a Feeling, So I mean, those are just like little fun. I mean, that this 6 though. I mean, it was almost like the fly on the wall from Let It Be. And you're just getting these little bits here and there.
Yeah,
But
I
I
hear
find that
that.
frustrating.
Yeah.
I'm expecting I've Got a Feeling, and
Right.
Yeah,
it's
you're like,
only
give me more,
16
give me more.
seconds of it,
Yeah, exactly. But then you get to the Blu-ray, and I was really happy that they included, the stuff from the Yoko Plastic Ono Band, because why? Well, John's on it as well. If we're celebrating John, let's put that on there as well. So that is an hour and 50 minutes of the jamming. I mean, you get like for like Why? Okay, it's not like boom, boom, right like it is on the full album. It's them warming up. They're getting they're tuning their instruments, and they're finding the song at first. So when you play Why and Why Not, that's the first 39 minutes of the Blu-ray. Is just those two songs.
Oh, I wanted to interject. I like when you're listening to Why. Like one of the things at the end, John's always thrilled with Yoko, and he's always supporting her, and he's so excited. And at the end, he excitedly asked the engineers. He says, "Were you getting that?"
Yeah.
At the end of it, it's like, wow, and everything, yeah.
Right. So you're listening to Why, and then they're working it out. They're tuning their instruments, and then they start slowly easing into it, and then it's the actual song. So it's actually 8 minutes until you finally hear Yoko's vocals in that song, and then then Why Not starts, and then that's then it's like really slow, and then it speeds up, and that's I think got to be that's almost like 20 minutes long itself, just that song right there. So I was really happy that they added that. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it starts out slow and bluesy, and then I like it. There's a moment in there at first. Remember, John stops Yoko.
Right.
He says, hey, your voice is too loud in the earphones now.
Right.
And then he goes, we weren't on, were we? And then Yoko goes, I felt so sorry for Yoko. She goes, oh, you stopped it at a very nice point.
Right. But yeah, I mean, stuff like "Touch Me," I like that. I like the whole. The second Blu-ray with the Yoko stuff. I thought it was very well done.
Yeah,
And
why on now?
also,
Why on blue? Why? I mean, I was able to. I have a Blu-ray player, and I was able to get the Blu-ray. Sometimes I can't access them, even though I have a Blu-ray player. But I was
Right.
able to hear them. I
Mhm.
wonder. It's a little nitpick, a little quibble. Why you got to be on the Blu-ray, not some
Yeah.
regular
Mhm.
instead of
regular
another
CD?
I don't
CD,
understand that.
because
Yeah.
you can fit more on the Blu-ray. Like I said, I mean, it's an
This
hour.
is true, but
It's an hour and 50 minutes long. Just that Blu-ray right there. So I mean, if you can, so you got to think, okay, that's going to be 2 discs. So instead of 2 CDs, 2 more CDs, then we're going to put it on 1 Blu-ray.
Mhm.
Is how my thinking on that.
But
But
You
it would have
still
been
could have
cool
made it
to,
available on just CD.
sure.
yeah.
But again,
Yeah.
that would have been 2 CDs. So you would have been getting
Mm.
10 CDs instead of 8.
Yeah.
Well, there's always time. Maybe they'll be reissued. But I wanted to mention, which I almost forgot about. I'll look at my notes here. The raw studio mixes on CD4.
Mhm.
It's like stripped down version of the LP, right?
Right.
The song "Mother" it continues the ending. Past the way it sounds on the release version. It goes on longer after the fade out.
Right.
And I think it's more powerful with that ending, the way it is on the raw studio mixes disc. Too bad they didn't release it like that.
Well,
And then,
also, I'm sorry to interrupt, but there was
okay,
what's amazing is you can hear really clearly him mutter when he sings, I tried to run. You can hear him mutter from me. Which is
for me,
really
I didn't
like,
hear that.
ooh, yeah, you
Oh,
can hear
wow.
it. I mean, I had headphones on and he mutters, for
Right.
me. I thought, ooh, I
Yeah.
never noticed that before.
Another cool thing too is having. I didn't realize that "I Don't Want to Be a Soldier" started this early.
Yeah,
Yes.
me too. That was a surprise.
No.
Wasn't surprised.
And
Yeah.
again, it sounds. I mean, that of all the songs that we've heard, I mean, really took the most. I mean, the most work. I mean, the evolution on that song just is never ending. From
Yeah.
what I hear.
There's so many arrangements that were done with
Right.
that song.
Exactly.
It's
It
incredible.
sounds very different here.
They say Phil Spector wasn't really there that much, right, for this. But I know on the raw studio mixes at the end of "Love,"
hmm
John chats with Phil Spector a
Yeah, and
bit
he
on
plays
there.
piano, of
Yeah, he
course.
plays piano
it.
on that
Yeah.
song.
So that's interesting. And
But
"Look at Me" it's a single vocal of John, just single vocal, and there's more guitar noodling at the end on the raw mixes. I like that.
Yep.
But I didn't want to forget some of these. Like "Give Peace a Chance." I said earlier, never a fan of the official single. However, you have it here cleaner, the single version, but cleaner, and it doesn't have that thumping sound that whatever that is.
Yep.
I boom 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 boom, which I could never stand that. But I like this version better. The John vocals louder, seems more alive, more present. It's the actual single, but it's cleaner, up more up front. And then you can have also on this CD4 an Instant Karma despectorized, if you like, version.
Yep.
yes.
Instant Karma with John's really clear vocal and the drumming and the Alan White. I mean, it's just really crisp. And
Yes. I
I
really
love
like that because I like that because you could really appreciate Ellen White's drumming even more. I
Yeah.
mean, it's even although on the other hand, I was really undecided when I heard that because I thought on the one hand, I really love hearing Ellen White's drumming a lot, more clear. On the other hand, it's like, well, but that Phil Spector production, it did
I
give
love
that
the
song a
single.
lot more power though. It's
Love the single.
Yeah,
I mean, the way it was released, I love, but to hear it that way is a treat. Kind of like All Things Must Pass. People are wondering, oh, we're going to get a despectorized. That's a whole nother show. But the question is, would it be All Things Must Pass then, though? That's the question. If they could do that.
They're 2 different albums altogether as far as Phil Spector's involvement. But what they did with "Love" was fascinating because there's one version, I think it's the Evolution one, where you hear Phil Spector's playing at the very beginning, and then you hear all of his playing throughout the entire song at the end of John's recording of it. So you hear everything that was played on the piano. And there's one particular moment where John says to Phil, this could be in the Evolution one, where I'll be your left hand,
Oh yeah.
which makes me wonder if maybe the two of them played it
Like,
together.
Mhm,
So
yeah.
I'm not sure about that. But and one other thing I wanted to say about God is that when you listen to a song like that on acoustic guitar and the way that John played it, it almost came across like a folk song,
Yeah,
Mhm.
good point.
you know.
Yes.
And one of the biggest moments on the release version that we've grown to love of God is when he mentions, I don't believe in Beatles.
Right.
And it's such a huge moment, and the
Oh
song
yeah.
stops.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have that
Right.
on the acoustic guitar. He just keeps
No.
going,
Right.
Yep.
so it's not as dramatic, as it was on the release version. Things like that I found fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely. And I forgot to mention on the remixed album, the one track I did not like with the remix was Well, Well, Well. The extreme reverb on the drums has always bothered me. And this, to me, the remix just brought it out even more. And I don't know what it was. It just really bothered me. I just thought the drums were just even more like almost sounded out of sync to me. So that was probably the one song I did
I
not
did, I
like.
made a note of this, and I wasn't going to mention it. I said it in my YouTube review, but the Look at Me didn't. I was disappointed on the regular album or remix. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was the phasing vocal. It was.
Mhm.
There's something going on under there
Hmm.
that it was a little too prominent on this to
Mhm.
me. But it's so subjective.
Yeah,
You hear things. Did
exactly.
you hear that? Did you hear that? It's your
Yeah.
own ears. It just didn't. That though, I didn't like whatever that was a distortion or a.
You,
It says
you
a
yeah, when you get a
phasing
set like
vocal.
this, you kind of almost that's what you're almost kind of almost you're over expecting it. Like,
Yeah.
okay, what am I going to hear that I never heard before? It's like I remember when I went to go see they not remastered, but they cleaned up The Godfather like a
Mhm.
couple years, 20 years ago, whatever, and they just remastered it or whatever. And I'm going there and I'm watching and I'm like looking at it with like a new set of eyes. And like, oh my god, that's a new scene. Oh my god, that's it. But it really wasn't. You know what I mean? But it's just
Yeah.
No.
they did such a well job with it. You're kind of
Mhm.
your brain is fooling you into or tricking you into thinking you're seeing something new when you're really not. But
Yeah. Yep. But then when I heard some well, they had some of the mix, the takes on without all that, the reverb and all. I was like, yeah, this is I like this better. This is great. Wish they'd done that to begin with, but that's just my opinion. But yeah, it's this whole set. When you were talking about the studio chatter and the jams and that kind of stuff. I just thought that stuff was great too, because it gave a fuller picture of what these sessions were like. Because, before this, I mean, I remember when I first heard this album, I just thought, God, these sessions must have been just so intense and you just see
But
with this that no, I mean, they had fun too. And John, in fact, I mean, sounds like, these were very positive sessions. I mean, he was excited about it. He was excited about this statement he was making. And even though these were very emotionally intense songs, obviously, but I think this was kind of artistic liberation for him, and you can hear it in these sessions, and it's a really a pleasure to hear. So I think this set presents a more accurate picture, of what
yeah,
the recording sessions were like, a full, 360-degree picture, and it's great.
And not only that, but there's all the fun that he was having during the jams
Mhm.
with all the 50s rock and roll
yeah,
at the
Yeah,
same
going
time.
back to his roots. Yeah.
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 Imagine doing something like Mother, and then you're going to do a Carl Perkins song. It's like, it's the kind of opposite extremes there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and in one of the takes, he even at the beginning, he was like, "Oh, I'd like to dedicate this to all the mothers out there." And he goes into like this, really depressing.
Yeah.
Like, wow, I mean, talk about switching gears.
Right.
There's also some good conversation with Ringo too, feedback, but I can't remember. It must have been in Evolutions. I can't find the notes on that. When Ringo was discussing things here and there with John, I think it's in the Evolutions disc. I don't have it. Just it. Oh, Evolution mixes. Mother. John discussing with Ringo about wanting to put the church bells on in the beginning.
Oh yeah.
And
Okay.
John, Ringo, and Klaus, trying to nail the song down,
Mm-hmm.
and this playful swearing and frustrated cussing through it too, which is interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, as I said, it really presents a full picture
Right.
of what the sessions were like. I mean, it really makes you feel like you're there.
Good
And
point.
I forgot about the Evolution mixes. During Working Class Hero, John says we'll have to do it like Blackbird.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Tom Brennan mentioned that in the comments earlier. Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
Mhm.
the notes I was looking for before. Yeah.
Can I just say the
Mhm.
one thing that kind of like little bothers me about the set, and I should have mentioned this earlier, but when you get to the Blu-ray folder, you'll notice that the Blu-rays are in their own little separate little packet folder here.
Mm.
Mhm.
I wish they would have done the same thing with the CDs, because CDs, they're just as fragile as as Blu-rays. So I mean, I would just love in the future to see them, because
Yeah.
I mean, this scratches it just as much as
Mhm.
anything else would scratch it. I mean, but I mean, it's just one little thing that I think that they could improve on with these sets.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's good to have the little quibbles in with the praise too.
Constructive criticism, they call
Yeah.
But
it.
overall, I mean, we're happy. I dare say
Oh,
we are.
Oh
Right?
I'm
yeah.
happy with you.
Uh-huh.
Absolutely.
I have like one major criticism to make,
Okay.
which is that, and in fact, I think one of the engineers pointed out that I Found Out and Well were pretty much, finished as songs and arrangements. And I kind of feel the same way about Working Class Hero. When you listen disc after disc after disc, you don't hear that big a difference in those three songs. And
No.
I guarantee you that if somebody played to me a version of I Found Out and didn't tell me which disc it was on, I couldn't tell you,
Mhm.
No.
and that's, as I said in my other podcast show, that's not the fault of the engineers. It's
Right.
just that, the songs are pretty much finished. Almost every version of Working Class Hero sounds pretty much identical,
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
which tells you that John knew what he wanted from the very
Right.
beginning.
Yep.
So you'll learn that in the process.
Mhm.
But the biggest lesson I've learned in listening to this box set, I was really shocked at how much could be done with these songs when you've only got, like I said before, a bass player, a guitarist,
Right.
and drums and piano. How much can you play around with all this?
Yep.
And sometimes when all you do is remove the reverb, like you said,
Mhm.
Joe, on Instant Karma, it makes a big difference.
It does.
Mm.
You take a song where you're used to hearing John's voice double tracked and it's single tracked on Look
Right.
at Me, it makes a difference.
Yeah.
When you remove one song, when you remove one instrument, like Remember, the Evolution mix, and you're hearing just the bass and the drums, it has a completely different feel. There's so much that they did. They took it as far as you can possibly go.
I think there's a version of Look at Me with four vocals on it. I
It
think
sounded
somewhere.
like that.
Well, see, and that's the cool thing about the book, Ken, too, is when they go into the songs, underneath the box, they show what's going on each on each take.
Right.
Like an 8-track. If they recorded on an 8-track, they show you exactly what's. So then that way you kind of get a sense of what they are playing around with.
Yeah.
So I thought that
Yeah.
was
But even still, I mean, there's so many different experiences you can have from listening to all these discs. But if you listen to
right.
it all at once,
Mhm.
it can be a blur.
Yeah.
You know,
True.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
you really got to separate.
I know that.
you
I know that
know,
You
from
almost
experience.
you almost need to listen to one disc per day in a way.
That's
Maybe listen to the one disc a couple times, let it all sink in, and then move on to the next disc. The
Yeah.
following day,
Yep.
get a new set of ears for it.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Really, the main quibble I have, well, partially what you said, Ken, is I mean, the Working Class Hero. I couldn't believe the different versions, how like they were virtually identical every
Yeah.
time. I mean,
It's interesting. They included
fascinating.
John's favorite take 9, which was the one they wound up using, but he had forgotten a verse
Yeah.
when they've
that's right.
tortured and scared you for 20 odd
Yeah.
years, then they expect you to pick a career.
Mhm.
So they tried re-recording it, but he liked 9 the best still.
Yeah.
So he just added the verse where it was missing, where he forgot to sing it.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
know,
So
in
yeah,
there.
that was interesting.
And there's
But
the version of it. There's the version of it, I guess, the way it was with the missing verse too.
yeah.
It's more on
Yep.
the album, but it's missing the verse.
Yeah, interesting, interesting. But the other thing was, I was amazed that they kind of buried the demos, on the disc with the jams. I mean, they just kind of stuck them at the end. Like, gee, I mean, I think the demos are a lot more important than that.
It
I mean,
should have
Yeah.
been like disc 2. If you're gonna
Yeah.
do like the evolution of the sessions, like you were mentioning.
Yes, exactly. They should have been there.
Because you
I
would
mean,
think what demos are usually the first thing that they work on, right? In
Yeah.
the
Yep.
recording set, in the recording
exactly.
of an
Why
album.
weren't they there? I mean, I was just amazed they were buried.
I thought the
you
same
know.
thing too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
they should have been way more prominently placed. I mean, absolutely. But other than that, it was
Other than that,
No, yeah.
And another
I'm
thing.
looking.
No,
yeah,
no,
right.
I'm looking at here at Love. We were talking about this before. It says on the Evolution, it's got a full band, right? And John on piano, accompanied by Billy Preston on the second piano. It says
Mhm.
in my notes. So
Wow. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh
you can hear
yes, you
Phil
can hear
Spector
it.
evaluating
Yeah.
the song.
Yeah, you
Was
can hear
there-
2 different piano bits. Yeah.
Was there a version of was it Love or Look at Me with drums? I mean, there was one I thought.
Boy, there's a lot of stuff here to drink in,
No,
folks.
well, hold
Trying to-
on. There was one version
Because there's
where
one that I
Ringo's
just
working out something kind of
Right.
Latin-esque, and it
Yep.
didn't work.
yeah, and they were
Yeah.
and I thought good that they ditched the drums.
Yeah.
That was a good call. but again, that's just fascinating. How you hear them trying like, nope, that didn't work. Okay, let's try that. And then there was another one where John and Ringo were talking about the tempo, where they were working out, and then John would be like, that tempo's too fast, and let's and they started debating about that. Fascinating.
Right.
Yeah.
It really
Yeah, that
is.
one part in isolation, I don't expect you to understand. They had to keep working on that. That seemed
Yeah.
to be one that needed the most work in the song.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
But Ken, to your point earlier about what you were saying about he knew what he wanted for this album, it seemed like it holds for pretty much the whole album, even though he started with guitar or acoustic guitar on what Love and God. I mean, it was still in the same key though, was it not?
and Mother. Yeah,
and Mother.
yeah, I think so.
Pretty
So I
much.
mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, whether it was piano or guitar, I mean, it was still pretty much, there wasn't a lot of evolution with this album for the songs.
Mhm.
I agree.
Yeah.
But even still, by making these slight adjustments in the mix,
hmm
you hear, you get a different experience sometimes
Right.
with some of the same songs.
Mhm.
But imagine, no pun intended, with the other albums, Mind Games, Walls and Bridges, when you've got full bands and you've
Right.
got, orchestras and
More
horns
to work
and all
with.
that, what you could do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they did that with Imagine,
Mhm.
you know?
And
did
let's
it so
hope we
well,
get the
so.
other albums like this, folks. If you're listening out there, Sean, Yoko, let's have them all.
A dream track from Walls and Bridges, no, Mind Games would be I Know with John's vocals and the steel pedal guitar only.
There you
go. I would just love just to hear that.
Walls and Bridges, Walls and
Walls and
Bridges.
Bridges, Walls and Bridges.
Mind Games.
Mind
Mind
Games.
Games, Mind Games, Mind Games.
Sometime in New York
Steel
City.
guitar on You Are Here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great.
Oh, man.
There's actually one mistake that I found in the book.
Oh, I heard there was a couple.
Yeah, I heard there were some.
I think there's
Oh,
more
okay.
than one mistake.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I found that Glad All Over,
Ken.
which is the song that they got from Carl Perkins, though Carl Perkins didn't write Glad All Over.
Mhm.
They listed the songwriters as being Dave Clark and Mike Smith. of
No.
the Dave Clark Five,
Oh.
confusing that with the Dave Clark Five's Glad All Over.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Oops.
if you look.
I didn't know about that one.
Yeah.
Oh. Ouch.
Well,
All
so
right, get rid of the box sets now.
Yeah, all right, everybody.
No,
forget
no,
it.
no.
Not saying that.
well, What a great job.
Hmm.
Okay. Other than that,
Trying to think of a honeymooners reference. I can't come up with one.
oh no,
That's
What?
impossible.
I'm
Did we-
shocked.
Did we stump you?
I know Gary Wilbur is going to be disappointed.
He said, "Yeah, really? Oh no, you're letting him down."
Hmm. Sorry.
No,
We're,
still have
we're
a little bit of
honeymooners
time
free
left.
tonight.
Yeah, unless something comes up in the next 5 minutes or 10 minutes. So, are there any comments? Anybody? From I know
Let's
poor kid's
see
got a monitor.
here.
She's like,
Okay, let's see. I'm looking here. Let's see. Okay.
It's the only one that could read the comments. folks,
Yeah,
in case
I'm
you didn't know.
sorry. I'm scrolling on
I'm
my
sorry, I
iPad
put you on the
here.
spot there.
Oh no, that's okay. I'm just
Thanks for
scrolling.
watching, everybody.
Why the Munsters T-shirt?
Mhm.
I was looking for stuff. That's another reason.
Mark P, our good friend Mark P. So I
Ah.
wonder if we'll get the raw studio mixes on Record Store Day like we did with the Imagine release. Good
Mm.
question.
Right.
That'd be great. I would love that.
That was a good release. I enjoyed that record.
Yep. Oh, and Marcus Thompson points out that yeah, that's true. With when we were talking about lyric changes on God, on an earlier version of God, that he, instead of saying Zimmerman, he said Dylan.
Dylan.
That's
Right.
Yeah,
right.
which he should have used, because he says in the Rolling Stone interview, he says, "Why do you call him Zimmerman or something?" He says, "Because Dylan's BS." He says
Right.
Zimmerman is his name. Well, all the more reason to say I don't believe in Dylan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there you go. That's
Good point.
right.
Yeah.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, so I was glad you pointed that out. And then Tom Brennan, I alluded to this earlier, but he said, "I'm working class hero." John debated whether to play it with his thumb or with a pick, and then mentions Blackbird. So yeah, so I forgot he mentioned that. Let's see. He also says that the I Found Out Elements mix is really fun with the congas and the extended mix that goes all the way to the end of a take, including them jamming Gone, 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 and My Baby Left Me.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
and go ahead.
No, it's great that there's two. Well, there's the Carl Perkins song, "Gone, Gone, Gone,"
Yeah.
which a lot of people may not know the name of the song, but Carl Perkins did it in his TV special with George and everybody else. Yeah, that's a highlight. I think there's a longer version of Well, Well, Well with them jamming, which is also great.
Yep.
I have one here, some maniacal Ringo drumming. I wrote down, well, well, well.
Yeah.
Maniacal Ringo drumming.
Yep. Yeah, he does go off. Oh, how about that? Just this has nothing to do with that, but the Elvis parody. John was wow.
It's
He
cute
does a
to
whole
listen
bunch of
to
them.
once. I don't know if I can listen to it repeatedly.
Yeah, I wouldn't listen to it repeatedly.
Yeah, I
but
wasn't that knocked out by those jams. I don't know why. I'm not a big jam person anyway. Usually, I still have never listened to
Apple
record
Jam?
3 of All Things Must Pass. Apple Jam, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Some
listened to
fan
that.
I am.
I listen to that once in a while, but when they're not complete versions of songs,
yeah,
when
if
they
it's
break
just like
down,
20 seconds,
and
thanks.
especially when he does it, you notice John had a lot of difficulty remembering lyrics to almost every
Yeah, I
song
noticed that.
on that disc, and it's really frustrating when he's trying to do "You'll Never Walk Alone." He's just laughing his way through it.
Well, that's
give
one
us
of
a
the first
verse or
things
two,
that when Paul first saw John singing live that day, that's what he was talking about, the Del Vikings singing the wrong words to
Yeah,
come go with me.
Yep. Marcus Thompson points out, which is true, John's guitar playing was great also. This box set just highlights his underrated guitar playing.
That's a good point.
I mean, as a rhythm guitarist, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. It's Mark Zutkov says it's interesting that on songs like Isolation, John sang separate double track vocals. In the Beatles, he supposedly preferred the use of ADT, artificial double tracking, so that he only had to sing once.
Okay.
Interesting.
That's it, because he does try a lot of different things here, where he usually just likes to get in and out, get it over with.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which is another thing. You hear so much about how John liked to work quickly,
Right.
and he
Yeah.
went more for feel than everything else.
Yeah.
And then you see Mother take 68 or whatever. It's like he put a lot of time into this, even if they're not complete takes.
Exactly.
There's
Yeah.
a
Well,
bootleg I
again,
have.
this was clearly a very, I mean, not that the other albums weren't important, but this was
Yeah.
a very important project to him. I mean,
Yeah.
this was his, debut. I mean, yeah, I know he had, the Wedding album and Life of the Lions, all,
Yeah.
but this was his, real debut as a solo
Yeah.
artist and his in a very personal statement.
Yep.
There's a bootleg I have of him doing just about every take of Love.
Mm.
And it's all on acoustic guitar, but it's a lot of takes.
Right.
Yep.
And whatever, even Walls and
It's-
Bridges stuff, there's a lot of
Yeah.
whatever gets you through the night.
Uh-huh.
There's a lot of those.
So it's not like
Absolutely.
everything was all done quickly.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Well,
Cool.
I think we're well.
Well.
I
Hold
think
on.
we had a pretty good view, and now we're ready to wrap it up. Unless anybody has any last minute thoughts.
Great set. I hope the series continues. I think this was my favorite so far of the three, and yeah, I thought it was a great release. If you haven't picked it up, pick it up.
Yep.
Pick it up.
Yeah.
All right.
I would like to just throw out to our audience, because I have to A/B everything, but I want to know if there's any duplication of things that were on this box set that had already come out. Now, I know that Lost John, the first take of that, was on the John Lennon anthology box set. And
Yeah.
the demo, the acoustic guitar demo of Cold Turkey, was on John Lennon acoustic. It sounds exactly the same as that one.
Well,
But, I'm not sure about some of the other ones. If I have heard the version of I Found Out, which is faster with John on acoustic guitar and it's amplified.
Mhm.
And I'm trying to figure out if that was on the anthology. I haven't checked everything yet. It'd be nice if there would be a resource for that. So
I've seen that online. I've seen them where they say, it says new or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, I don't remember where now, but yeah. And
our friend, the Wog Blog guy, Roger Stormo, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Does
Okay.
that from these sets for these sets.
All right.
Yeah,
Have
I'd like
check
to
it
look
out.
that up too, because some of them I've heard this. Yeah, I've heard this before.
Plus the Lost Lennon tapes, if you listen to the series or
yeah.
bootlegs, a lot of the jams there I heard,
Mhm.
on the Lost Lennon tapes. It'll
Yep.
Be Me, stuff like that, Honey Doe.
Yeah. Yep.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
So, folks, let's see. Now we're ready to, I don't know, give our plans and what we're doing and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
I guess let me meet myself out of the way. For Mean Mr. Mayo, look at my channel on YouTube, Mean Mr. Mayo, where I do videos. Please subscribe if you haven't already. There's some fun stuff coming up. And I also have a show that I'm doing called Fab Gab. And I keep saying, so far, it's pretty much just rankings. We're just taking all the Beatles albums in chronological order. We'll eventually do the solo albums in chronological order. It's going to take years to do. But eventually we're going to be throwing other subjects. I promise that. It's not just going to be ranking shows. We're going to talk about other topics and things like that. And I know Tom has been on the show Fab Gab. You can find this, by the way, right on my YouTube channel, Fab Gab. And Kit's been on, and Ken is going to be on. And
in June.
yeah, things are working out because I've been putting it off. I was going to do the White Album next, which is the whole thing, not just.
How do you rank the tracks?
Good luck with that.
Well, it's easy to start with the 4 least or so, but 3 or 4 least. But yeah, it's ridiculous. But it stimulates conversation about the songs, if nothing else. Yeah. So, but I've been putting it off because it was Mother's Day. I didn't want to do it then, and I've got plans with Matthew Street, my co-host, that we have to do things this coming Sunday. So it's going to be a while, but it'll all work out. Anyway, that's me done. Kit, why don't you tell everybody about where to find us and all that kind of jazz?
Absolutely. You can find us, of course, on our Facebook page where you are right now. If you're not watching us on there, you can just look up Talk More Talk, a solo Beatles video cast. You can find us on our website at talkmoretalk.com. You can find us on Twitter at talkmoretalk1, the number 1. You can email us at talkmoresolotalk@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your feedback. If there are any topics that you'd like us to consider, we'd love to hear your ideas. And you can also, of course, see us on YouTube, and please subscribe to our channel while you're there, and tell all your friends to subscribe as well. And you can hear the audio version of this podcast or video cast on any podcasting platform you can think of. We're pretty much everywhere. So you can find
all
us
around.
well,
all around.
all around. Oh God, here's the honeymooners.
Yeah,
I knew we couldn't escape. And and as far as I go, we'll have some stuff coming up in July. I'm going to be giving part 2 of my Motown lecture at the same library, the Avalon Free Public Library, and it's going to be online, just like before, and it's going to be about Motown in the 70s. So I'll give you more details as time gets closer. I'm also going to be giving 2 more of the, or co-hosting 2 more of the Tuesday Record Club sessions with Ken Womack. I'm going to be doing Band on the Run.
You two are like peas and carrots.
That's right. Yeah, you can't.
Peas in a pod.
Peas
yeah,
in a
that
pod.
Pod.
Very good.
There's 2
Oh,
sayings.
damn, here we go.
Do you know what that is, Ken?
It's Laurel and Hardy.
That's
Oh,
right.
Laurel and Hardy.
Let's
Okay,
start
Very
them
good.
we're branching out. And so I'm going to be doing Band on the Run and Prince's Sign of the Times. So that's going to be
great.
a lot of fun. Yeah. So I'll let you know details of that as time goes on. And so there's going to be stuff coming up, and I'll let you know when time gets closer. So I think that's it. Otherwise, of course, you can always find me on Facebook, and I have some reviews coming up as well. So so I'll post those as soon as they go up.
How about Tom? What's going on?
Well, we 2 legs. We had a little bit of a break, which was nice. We're getting the wheels moving here again. We recorded a show on McGear last night with Tony Triguardo. We're going to be returning with ranking the tracks this Wednesday, the 12th, where we're going to be ranking the tracks on Memory Almost Full, which was no easy task. Let me tell you that. Myself,
Except for the least.
Except for the least. Myself, during our little 2-leg break, I did a guest spot on the Ringo Rama podcast, which the brand new Ringo podcast, which you can find on YouTube. So that's Ringo Rama. Please check it out and subscribe to his channel. It's just great to finally hear somebody talk about Ringo. It doesn't matter the age, and it doesn't
I always talk about Ringo.
Yeah, well, I mean, just to have an own show, Oh yeah, obviously you got Ringo plastered behind you. So we got absolutely. So
I get you. I hear you though. I hear you.
So check that out, and obviously we got a lot of great things coming out. So please check out our YouTube channel, 2 Legs, a Paul McCartney podcast. Please subscribe to that, and Talk More Talk, and Joe Mayo, and Ken Michaels Radio, and just check us all out. Please subscribe, and yeah, can't wait to talk McCartney with you guys. So
and now for Ken, you're on the air.
Well, as you could tell, Joe, with Tom, the wheels are turning.
Right.
The wheels are turning at all
times.
And as I said before in the show, you have a Ringo podcast, you can have a monopoly on it.
Yeah.
So very smart to have that Ringo Rama brand new podcast show. Right. And we're going to find the youngest podcasters and have them on this show. I've already started having some of them on my
Yeah, we gotta do that. Yeah.
So if any of you would like to email me directly, my address is everylittlething@att.net. On my other podcast show, Things We Said Today, we just did a show on the Plastic Ono Band box set. So you can hear what Alan Kozin and Darren DeVivo, but we did it first.
Oh,
We did it. So that's on iTunes, and it's also on podbean.com. And we also have our YouTube channel. So please subscribe to that. And speaking of YouTube channels, there's my own, which is Ken Michaels Radio. I just had that young phenom on my show, Ethan Alexanian, and we did a number 9 Dream show on Paul McCartney. I'm probably going to do one very soon with Tom, possibly this week, a number 9 Dream show on Ringo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
So yeah, and
We
you're
got Al
going to be on,
Sussman, we got Tom, we got Ethan,
and Kit.
and
Kit
Kit.
was one of my first guests.
Yep.
You'll be on. I haven't gotten Darren on. I haven't gotten Alan on. There you go. You're not alone. But anyway, yeah, so he's on my YouTube channel. If you can, please subscribe. We got John Montagna recently talking about Paul as a bassist. And John is also on that brand new Ram On tribute CD from the Ram album. Speaking of which, with things we said today, our next show next week will be covering Ram, talking about the Ram album and the Ram On tribute as well for its 50th anniversary. And so I think that's it. Oh, of course, there's my website, kenmichaelsradio.com. Make sure you check out all the audio interviews. There's plenty of them throughout many of the pages on the website that I've done through several decades of doing interviews. It's right there on the website, plus my Beatles trivia and games page. There'll be a new game or trivia question tonight before midnight. I promise you. Now that I've said it, I've got to do it.
You got to do it
Yeah,
now.
got to do it now.
I'm committed. So you can win one of 10 prizes every single week, including Kit's book, the classic Songs We Were Singing. You can win that on my website as well. And also the McCartney 3 album. A lot of great stuff. Wings Over America, Jerry Hammock's new book on the Beatles. And yes, there you go. So you have a tote bag too.
Yep.
Yeah, I got mine back there.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, Joe's even modeling it.
Oh.
Toting it. Gonna tote my
he's
stuff
toting it.
around.
Yep, there you go.
So
You could fit you could fit the book right in there,
You
Fandom
can
and the
put-
Beatles.
you can fit it right in. It's perfect.
and you can fit songs you were singing and the Michael Jackson book in there too.
Exactly. It's
I've
the
tried it.
perfect size.
You know, and as she keeps on putting out more books, the tote bag's just gonna have to get bigger.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm just gonna have to get another one.
And a big
Oh.
thank you to everyone that subscribed to my YouTube page, Ken Michaels Radio. Thanks to all of you, and those of you that haven't, please do so.
Yep.
And Tom, Tom's frozen?
Tom?
Tom's frozen.
Looks
Oh,
like
Tom's frozen.
Tom,
he's back.
Not
didn't you
anymore.
want,
He's
Tom, didn't
back.
you want to say
Oh.
something?
Yep.
Too.
And he's
he's
gone.
gone.
Oh,
He
no.
doesn't want to say anything. Oh, he's coming back, I'm sure.
no.
I think
well,
Tom wanted to promote one more thing or a
Yep.
person, I thought.
Oh, yeah. Well, actually, I'm going to mention something. So maybe while I'm talking, he'll come back on. I was going to be sure to say thank you again to Beatle Ed, who
Yep.
runs our show on Fab4 Radio and runs many of our individual shows as well. So wanted to give a shout out to him. You can catch our show also on fab4radio.com. Oh, Tom's coming back. Okay. So so be sure to check us out on there. And thanks again to Beatle Ed, who runs our Talk More Talk show on his radio program. And there is Tom. All right. So let's hey, you're back.
Yeah, sorry about that, but I'm when you're done, I just also want to give a shout out to somebody as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go right ahead.
All right, well, I just want to give a shout out to our friend Scott O'Rourke, who is a DJ, and he has his own show on WSB. And this I think it's the 27th of May. He's doing a tribute to Ram, and you can check it out. Check that out. And you know, he's been a listener of ours for a while now. And I don't know that my laptop is broken down. I'm on my phone, and I don't have all the information in front of me. So I'm sorry about that, Scott. But hopefully you can also we'll type in the information here on Talk More Talk in the Two Legs Facebook page.
Yep.
So just be aware that he is going to be doing a tribute to Ram on WUSB, and check it out.
All right.
All right.
Well, That's about it then, huh, folks?
Yep.
Thanks for watching, everybody. And remember, you got to hold on, because when you're one, really one, we get things done like they've never been done. So hold on. Thanks, everybody.
Yep.